Excess weight in children. The problem of overweight in children each year deepens, acquiring catastrophic proportions in developed countries all over the world. Completeness and obesity cause many problems in the child. Apart from the fact that childhood obesity threatens to worsen with age, it is a major cause of childhood hypertension associated with diabetes to a degree, increases the risk of coronary heart disease, increases the pressure on the joints that carry the weight load, lower self-esteem, and affects relationships with peers. According to some experts, the most serious consequences of obesity is social and psychological problems. Overweight in children, one of the brightest examples where parents can do just about everything the child does not suffer from the very childhood, in general, is an adult problem. After all, there is no such thing as innate obese children. Absolutely all children are born with a normal number of fat cells, even if mom and dad have their champions in extra pounds. But if the parents have a rather curvaceous, remains a strong possibility that their child will have obesity. And all because the food it usually is used to always eat themselves, very much and very tasty, and the diet of such a family is difficult to attribute to a healthy diet. Overeating is commonplace, to which the child gradually learns, giving up the power of the harmful habits of adults. As a result, the fat cells are growing by leaps and bounds. Here, this is the most common way of becoming obese children when their body weight exceeds the ideal by 20% or more. Supply of fat tissue is already in the newborn. The body needs it, because the intensity of metabolism in infants is very high. In the year it is necessary to increase body weight in 3 or 4 times. That's what a surplus of energy, and it is the main supplier of fatty acids. In principle, the properties of the growing organism in itself prevent the accumulation of excess body weight, because the child is in constant motion. But all children are different. In a quiet, sedentary children remain unused nutrients that are stored as fat, and if the accumulation of excess weight occurs in early childhood, then later get rid of it is not easy. Because the accumulation of fat cells in children is quite different principle than in adults. In obese children have their own characteristics, as the extra pounds are recruited in the range from 7 to 10 years, and body fat is most evident on the lower half of the body, thighs, buttocks, and they are, unfortunately, will never go away. Only intensive physiotherapy and massage can reduce the amount of problem areas. With a balanced diet, arrival of energy from food is flow. If this does not happen, it is necessary to start a medical examination to determine the cause of the extra pounds. Take direction from his pediatrician and, without delay, visit child for consultation. The earlier, the causes of overweight and prescribed treatment, the fewer problems you will face in the future. And if it turns out that there is no physiological cause of obesity then you need to look for psychological reasons. And if the kids are not so much have problems, especially psychological and social considerations associated with obesity, it is teenagers have a sip them with a vengeance. Peer ridicule, the inability to share with them the many things associated with physical activity, and as a consequence, the development of complexes and neuroses, brought many of them are obese, to the brink of despair. Unfortunately, there are children adults only because complexes. They begin to compare children with each other and each provide different estimates. And if the parents are trying to protect their child from this, then, getting into a rigid social environment of kindergartens and schools, they will sooner or later find out that they are not that good and beautiful, and gradually realize that they, rogue, and only because of the thickness of the surrounding. The worst is, of course, school childhood, when my classmates, not stopping at nothing to continually beat on the weaknesses of their peers, feeling so superior. No less dangerous is the attitude of parents, when often in disguised form, constantly emphasizes the child's physical disability, which can lead to more serious problems with self-doubt and communicate with others. Needless to say about the education of our society, in which anywhere you can hear thrown in the back, openly mocking remarks about proportions of the figure. The real test is normal shopping, when salespeople, looking with pity on the child, saying that the clothes of this size is rare. The same attitude is waiting, especially full of adolescents, hairdresser, beautician and in many other places. It turns out that the best are worth only slender peers. They are, by definition, smarter and prettier, and thick to be ashamed of. they are supposed to suffer from the accusations and ridicule. As a result, accumulated at the tender age of children's complexes because of being overweight, they are an adult embarrassed to be themselves and live as free and easy as the other. Rejection and misunderstanding, that's what scares the child and leads to children's complexes with excess weight. The main is to avoid situations where their fullness will be visible to others. As a result, they turn in on themselves, trying to quell the growing concern known to them ways, taking another portion of food or some exercise, such as computer games. All this, of course, does not lead to weight loss, but just the opposite. Children get fat, more and more, in addition, become dependent on sedentary activities. It is a vicious circle. To break that, alas, is not easy. But children are particularly want to be the best, believe that only the appearance defines their lives and are willing to do anything to become slim, beautiful and athletic. And the first task of adults surrounding the child is to do everything possible to cure their child, because obesity has long been recognized as a disease that requires a comprehensive treatment of a good and caring doctor. But it is important, in parallel with medical interventions, to carry out getting rid of the backlog of children's complexes with excess weight. Parents need to talk more with their children, to share their problems and experiences. They were the first to set an example of healthy living, giving as smoking and alcohol, as well as from hamburgers and chocolate bars, welcoming the consumption of vegetables, fruits and lean meat, and thus giving their children a chance in the future to be perfectly healthy. The child must firmly know that, despite its existing problems, it is unique personality, which is available in the same mental and physical development, and that any progress on the shoulder, and different from the others, it is a prerequisite for persons with a capital letter. Of course, childhood obesity starts with the regime that children learn at home, just 2 years old. Main reason, lack of food culture. Of course, lack of exercise plays a role. To lie on the couch some more pleasant than with the whole family walk in the park. But parents often do not realize the responsibility that rests on them to prevent health risks for their children. So no doubt that drastic measures are needed to prevent serious illness in children with excess weight in the near future. But first must stand up to protect the family, and to do everything possible so that the child grew up healthy. Recipe which is well known, a proper diet and exercise. And then we talk about other treatments, diet, drugs that reduce the absorption of fats and carbohydrates, psychotherapy, physiotherapy, reflexology. Temperament and heredity to blame for childhood obesity in the last turn. Recently, Americans who have studied the degree of fatness of foster children, drew attention to the fact that obese children are foster mothers who had previously normal weight, too, are full. So blame not only and not so much a genetic factor as improper feeding behavior of parents and the questionable quality of food. So let's change it until it is too late, and later it will be when the child reaches the age of puberty and the body is finally formed. And do not be deceived about the fact that this is still far away. If 100 years ago it was thought that the girls, for example, completely mature by the age of 16, but now thanks to the notorious acceleration, this occurs at 11-12 years of age, established that the critical weight at which the reproductive function of women minus 48 kilograms. That's up to this time and to try to have time to adjust the weight of the child. Weight loss is not easy, not least because it causes increased appetite is not fully understood. Some scholars give this explanation. If the stomach is constantly working and has no time to rest in the food center of the brain reflexively supported by a state of excitement, and it is the causes constant desire to eat. Children who have had an awkward relationship with parents who are experiencing acute failure in school, feel loneliness and longing to eat more or less than you need, without even noticing it. Food becomes the equivalent of emotional comfort or discomfort signal. Here in part where regular conversation concerned about the affairs of the child, but not for food. Satisfied with the need for communication, the main factor full mental development of children, which is reflected in the optimism, faith in yourself and allow him to be himself, to enjoy life and to fully realize their potentialities. This is especially important for children up to 10 years, since at this age they are still not able to solve their psychological problems, and therefore need the help of adults. This is the beginning strategy and tactics to lose weight. Next, you need to break the habit of eating all the time, or there are too many. Psychologists believe that attempts to protect the child from overeating by banning not less dangerous than the force feeding. Therefore, we should not prohibit, and to begin to look at yourself and try to change their own eating habits. But suppose the only mother in the family is concerned about weight of the child and father, like eating all day and night in a row, so be there and make an effort not going to. What do? The child, who sees the birth of a passion for food, too, will be forever stuck in the open door of the refrigerator. Well, do not lock up, in fact, a fridge, and it is harmful. The forbidden fruit is sweet, and can occur in healthy psychological fixation on food. Hope is that the child with abnormal body weight itself will regulate the amount of food is not necessary. This situation, in general, dramatic, and the only thing that can make a mother, is volitional way to stop Gesellschaftstvostrogers im providing breakfast, lunch, afternoon tea and dinner, with no intermediate snacking. But the child does not feel deprived during the breaks. On the table should always be fruit. Fill breaks fruits should also, because sometimes, when illness or lack of communication with the mother, the gaps seem to be a child too long. As a result, the long wait he eats much more than he needs, and slowly gaining weight. In this auspicious moment the optimal digestion missed. But snacking does not have to consist entirely of fruits, have to do at least a minimal amount of fat, a couple of nuts, a drink of yogurt, cheese, plus a little piece of apple or orange is quite a terrific snack. But only one between meals. Another way to deal with negative diet. But this, too, will have to engage the entire family. Because the child would be extremely upset if day to day, he will give a tasteless mush on the water, while all around eating vkusniyashi cutlets and bread with jam. Feeling outdone, the child will want even more flour and sweet and all that he was deprived of at meal hours, then make up, getting to the refrigerator or up to a confectionery shop. Protect the child from temptation to quietly, occasionally, on holidays by giving him high-calorie desserts. You cannot keep in the house cookies and cakes. The portions should be small. Gradually the child gets used as is, and as an adult, he will restrict your diet. In the treatment of obesity in children has its own characteristics. Up to 7 years if the children have no other health problems, the goal of treatment should be to maintain weight at its current level, so that in time those extra pounds just moved into centimeters of growth. But weight reduction is recommended only for children over 7 years. And the weight loss must be slow, 400 grams per week to about 500 grams per month, depending on the initial weight. Methods of treatment of obesity in children is exactly the same as in adults. Of course, the first point in the treatment of obesity in children, to diet and nutrition. After all, the main cause of obesity, eating more than you need calories. And everything depends not on the child and between adults who surround him, care for him and feed him. So start dietary changes have to, first of all, to the diet of the whole family. First of all, listen to the good advice of doctors, and give preference to vegetables and fruits, rather than foods that are high in sugar or cholesterol. Buy natural, healthy snacks. Try and prepare food for more useful recipes, such as baked or boiled foods instead of frying them. This effect can provide a simple and limiting the amount of sugar for beverages, including those that contain fruit juice. These drinks provide little nutritional value, but contain a high amount of calories. They also clog your child's stomach, and he was not able to eat something healthier. Put a colorful food on the table, green and yellow vegetables, fruits of different colors, brown bread, whole grain. Limit foods white, are carbohydrates such as rice, pasta, white bread, sugar, desserts. Enter the wonderful tradition to eat with your family. At this time, share news and tell interesting stories of life. It's better than fast food restaurants, in which the main products, fatty foods that are high in cholesterol. Do not let children eat in front of the television or computer, it promotes mindless chewing. And never use food as a reward or punishment. Weight gain is inevitable. Children, leading a sedentary life, because they do not burn calories through physical activity. Activities such as watching television or computer games in his spare time only exacerbate the problem. A sport will not only help in the treatment of obesity in children, but also to generate strong bones and muscles, and strengthen the nervous system. Habitual physical activity and to help teens maintain a healthy weight despite the hormonal changes, rapid growth and social influences that often lead to overconsumption of food. Therefore, force a child to move more by something for everyone. The usual walk, bike, jumping rope will help to actively burn calories. Do not forget that change must start with the parents. Do not be lazy and go up the stairs instead of the elevator. Think of such active pursuits that the whole family can do together. Shovel snow from the road or sculpt a snowman. Make constant variety. Allow your child to make their own choices, such as exercise, or to choose the time and day of the week. All of these changes can be very important for your family, so do not change established habits too quickly. Start with a healthy food and a more active lifestyle, for whom would come in loss of pounds and in good health. This is something that you can do yourself. In addition, it is important to connect to this is not only a pediatrician, but also nurses and teachers in kindergarten. Adjust the daily menu, the value portion, involve the child in outdoor games, give him some extra physical activity, for example, to go to another team for anything, to help set the table, water the plants, etc. It's not just their line of duty, but a moral duty to raise a healthy generation.